coming into the season, one of the players that a lot of Bulls fans were excited about was Modest Buzelis and the potential that the rookie presented. Now, while his season started off with inconsistent minutes from head coach Billy Donovan, since the Zach LaVine trade and since he started moving to the starting lineup over the last 2 games, Modest Buzelis has started showing some of those flashes that do point towards him being a key player for the Chicago Bulls, not only now for the remainder of the season, but also in the future. We're going to talk a little bit about that and the impact that he's been making. Also, it is Sunday, so we are going to dive into the mailbag. All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Terry Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. I want to start off talking about Modest Buzelis, right? And Modest is a guy that I know a lot of Bulls fans see, right? We've seen a lot of flashes for Modest Buzelis over the course of the season, but he's starting to put together some impressive work, and there's starting to be those signs there that Modest Buzelis is going to be not only somebody that the Bulls build with, but also somebody who could be a key cog in what this Bulls team is doing. Modest is one of the few players coming into this that after the Zach LaVine trade, the season really becomes about what they can show, right? You look at Coby White, for example, him now moving into basically the lead scoring guard, role now that Zach LaVine's gone, right? Coby White, who's had a pretty decent usage rate over that time as well, but you got to look at it. 22.7. He's gonna grow the team, right? When it comes down to it, he's leading the team in usage rate now. Even though he was the third leading scorer, he's leading the team in usage rate, right? So with Zach LaVine's 24 points per game being gone, Coby White is stepping up some. He's showing some flashes. Still a little bit signs of that inconsistency that's plagued him for the majority of his career. But make no mistake about it, the Bulls are hoping that Coby White also sees a nice uptick as well, and whether that's to maybe move him later down the road, which I know a lot of Bulls fans aren't going to necessarily want to hear as being something that they could look to do, but whether it is looking to move him, we do know that he had 7 teams call about him leading into the trade deadline that we ended up not going after, right, and not pulling the trigger on, but there is some thought on, okay, what's this going to look like for Coby White in the future as well. And Coby, for what it's worth, he's back to averaging over 20 points. Last 4 games, the games in the month of February, 22.8 points per game on 42% shooting, and he's back shooting over 50% from three-point range. So those are signs, right? 4.5 assists, 2.5 rebounds. They're signs that Coby White's going to start getting back more towards that player that we wanted to see. And let's hope that we can. He's in 5 straight games of over 20 points per game, which is really, really good. You love seeing that for Coby White. Another player is Josh Giddey, right? I want to be clear here. Like, Josh Giddey in his shot creation, he's a very big part of the Bulls and what they're looking to do going forward into the future, what they're hoping is going to develop, and who they're evaluating here between now and the end of the season, especially as he does have a contract extension coming up that needs to be decided between now and the beginning of next season. But then you get to the rookie of Modest Buzelis, right? A guy who minutes have been very hard to come across from him at the beginning of the season, right? And you look at just how the minutes were very inconsistent. Just for example, let's go by month. In the month of October, he averaged 5.6 minutes over 5 games. That went up to 12.9 minutes per game over the games in the month of November, right? Not really a lot of shots, 4.5 shots per game. Then in December, 16.5 minutes, 6.5 shots per game, 6.6 points. So steadily increasing, right? Month of January, almost 14 minutes per game, 5.7 points. Then you get to the last 5 games of Modest Buzelis where he's playing consistently. Modest Buzelis is now into 7 straight games of over 20 minutes in 7 straight games. And when you look at Modest Buzelis' production, specifically over the last 5 games, right? And a lot of those games are without Zach LaVine even before he was traded. 15.6 points per game. He's doing that at only 9.4 shots per game, right? And he's hitting the shots at over 50% from the field, which is really good, 61.7% from the field, and he's shooting 45% from 3 over the last 5 games. He's averaging 15.6 points per game in that, 1.8 blocks per game, which is really good. Only 1.2 turnovers. Those are down as well per game. And he's getting rebounds, almost 5 rebounds per game as well, almost a steal per game. Modest Buzelis' impact is being felt. And the thing that makes it really special about Modest is that it's not even just about the stats, right? What we've always talked about with P. Will, for example, is the activity. P. Will fell asleep sometimes. And this isn't necessarily a knock or positive. People are going to take it positive or negative, however you do. This is just real, right? We're just looking at the realness of it. As a starter this season, Patrick Williams in 35 games averaged 8.7 shots per game, so only a half shot more than Modest, but he shot the ball 37.5% from the field, 4 rebounds, 2.2 assists, less than a half a block, less than a half a steal, and 9.3 points per game as a starter. Modest Buzelis is stepping in the same amount of shots, basically, right? The same amount of shots, but is having way more production, way better efficiency, way better impact on both sides of the ball as well than what Patrick Williams has had. And this is why when we talk about things like energy when it comes down to Patrick Williams and activity, Modest Buzelis is bringing that, right? And, I would like to see more of their minutes together. So this isn't to say that Patrick Williams should never play again or anything like that, but it's just to show that it's not like Modest is getting a ton more opportunity than Patrick Williams. He's not getting a bunch of more shots, but his activity is keeping him making an impact on games. And as a rookie, that's hugely important. Hugely important. When you look at Modest Buzelis' numbers as a starter, for example, only 2 games, so I do want to put that into perspective. 29 minutes per game, right? Still 10 shots per game, 50% shooting from the field, only 14% shooting from 3. Last 2 games have been really rough for him for 3, but it is what it is there. 4.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 1.5 steals, and only 1.5 turnovers. In the same minutes, with basically the same amount of shots, Modest Buzelis is being way more impactful than what we've had at the power forward position from Patrick Williams. Now, will that maintain? Will he stay a starter? That's up to Billy Donovan, right? And you never can bet on what Billy Donovan's going to do, but Modest Buzelis is making an impact. The thing that also impressed me, right, is that despite Modest Buzelis coming into this season and us knowing that defense is going to be one of the things that he has to, that could be a sticking spot for him, Modest Buzelis actually has the 5th best defensive rating on the Chicago Bulls team. Now, he is behind Josh Giddey and Nikola Vucevic, and overall, we're not a great defensive team, so it is what it is there. But then the analytics also point towards Modest Buzelis has been quietly kept pretty damn good. When you look at the analytics in regards to what he's bringing on that defensive side of the ball and what he's bringing to the team overall. And that's the thing that you want to build off of, right? This is the point of you playing rookies and allowing them to grow through their mistakes on the season, is that what comes out on the other side of that is development. I've said it all season long. Modest has the type of mentality and the personality that if he gets cooked, if he makes a mistake, he's going to do everything he can to improve it. Despite the minuscule minutes for him at the start of the season and the up and down roll, Modest Buzelis, when he's on the court, 3.5 points better per the point differential when he's on the court. Meaning we're outscoring our teams by 3.5 points when Modest Buzelis is on the court. That's on the season. That's not just since his role is increased. That's on the season, right? When you look at opposing teams, they're averaging 4.5 points less per 100 possessions when Modest Buzelis is on the court. Also, players that Modest Buzelis is guarding are hitting 2% worse, 2.5% worse on their field goal shooting percentage when Modest Buzelis is defending them. Modest is turning into a really good, solid player for this Chicago Bulls team, and you can only deny progress for so long when it's right in front of your face. So with it being right in front of your face, you can only deny it for so long. Modest Buzelis is making an impact. Now, I'm not trying to glaze it and make it seem like, it's the most amazing thing that we've seen from a rookie, but it is. You're seeing the progress from him, and he's responding well to the increased role and to the increased minutes. And Billy Donovan has to keep this up. Everything that needs to be from now until the end of the season, Modest Buzelis' development needs to be at the forefront. You're trying to see what your young core can do now that Zach LaVine is gone. That's everybody. That's Josh Giddey. As much as people want to shit on Josh Giddey, still with his shot creation, his rebounding, how he runs the offense. That's with Coby, how he creates off the dribble, those type of things, how he shoots, how he scores. Modest Buzelis is right up there. I would love to say that Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips are still as well, but they've seemed like they fell out of the rotation for the Chicago Bulls, so it is what it is there. The remaining 29 games on the season, what Modest Buzelis brings to this team and how he develops, how he grows, needs to be at one of the things that this Bulls team focuses on the most. And we'll see if the kid continues to respond well to things. I think that he will, We'll see what happens, but Modest is showing that he is somebody that you can build with. The question is now, does Modest Buzelis go from being a bright spot, right? Because those glimpses are turning into a consistent vision, right? But do those bright spots and what he turns into starts being something that you start wanting to bet on, right? The growth for Modest from year 1 to year 2 is going to be big. These last remaining 29 games are going to be huge and also giving him a good jumping off point for the 2025-26 season. So let's see what Modest Buzelis continues to do. But listen, the things, the analytics, the stats, everything is backing it up. This kid is special, right? And this kid is bringing something that this Bulls team does need. That's youth and that's growth. And see if he continues to do it. But with that said, it is Sunday, even though it is Super Bowl Sunday. We're still doing the mailbag. Let's get into this first one. This one's from Corn.
What it don't do, King Drip, it's your brother Corn, man. Let's get right the fuck into this Bulls shit, man. I can no longer defend AK. Yeah. I was the last of the AK Avengers. You know, I was the last, not been silent. Everybody been talking down on AK, not just been silent. Silently waiting for this trade shit to go down. AK, you don't know what the fuck you doing. It's like, you don't know what the fuck you doing, don't you? Like, do you know how to construct a roster? I remember him coming down, bro. I had so much faith in this man. I had so much love for this man coming from Denver. Now to know that he wasn't even the one that put the fucking team together. Oh, God, bro. Like, and I still gave this man so much fucking grace, man. Where the fuck is Mark Eversley? That's the other question. Where the fuck is Mark Eversley at? What the fuck? What is he doing? What the fuck is he doing? I don't understand it. It used to be Acme. It's no longer Acme. It's just AK. Fuck Acme. It's just Big AK. That's what the fuck is going on. Like, and he's like, bro. I just don't understand it. I just don't get it. I'm highly upset about this trade deadline shit, bro. We didn't get shit, man. Like, bro, like, we didn't get shit back but our picks. Like, what the fuck? Are you nutty in the squirrel shit? Like, really, bro? Like, what? Like, what? I can't defend this man no more. Can't defend it. Won't defend it. I lost all faith, man, in this man. This man is truly nuttier than squirrel shit. Like, we started live, though, getting like, we got all guards. What the? AK, bro. We just got our picks back. We ain't got shit else, man. All right. That's enough it, man. That's enough it. It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is, man. Fuck you, AK. Like, for real, bro. Fuck you.
Listen, AK is in over his head. And until further notice, until he proves it, right, the doubt for him is going to be super high. You got my brother Corn crying. Like, Corn was crying towards the end of that voicemail. Like, you got my brother crying, bro. Like, that's how bad it is. AK has his lack of vision, his lack of preparation has been something that continues to show for this team. And unfortunately, until that thing gets to where he starts hitting. Now, Modest Buzelis looks like he's going to be a hit of a draft pick. Cool. He looks. Iowa's a hit of a draft pick, right? Cool. Now, what are you doing with the 2025 draft pick? Because that turns into another hit. All right, now you got something that you're starting to build off on, right? But AK has a lot to prove, and the disconnect that exists between AK and this fan base grows every single year. Because he came in with a lot of anticipation. He was the guy that drafted Yoke. And as you find out more and more about that, they sold us a false sell of goods, bro. And look, that's not to say that AK and Eversley still can't eventually find their rhythm. They can't turn this thing around. We've seen franchises turn it around before, but they're running out of time. They're running out of time for the faith of the fan base. They're running out of time, right? And until they start getting those things together, man, it's going to continue to be ugly. But hopefully we're going to start, hopefully in this course correction that the Chicago Bulls have made, we come out on the other side of that course correction with much better success in that version of what this team could be than what the last version was. And I don't know how many more chances you get. You got a whole version of a team that did not work. It did not work. Now, with the next version that clearly you're getting an opportunity to still lead us through, can you find something that works? That's what we're hoping for. That's what every Bulls fan is really hoping for. The question is, are we going to get it? We'll see. Now, let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Los.
CEO Hayes, what is up? This is Los. Brother Hayes, I think I tell you every time I call in, Zach is my favorite player on the team, or was. And when he was traded, I didn't want to call in. That just was not a good thing. But then I thought, well, if the Chicago Bulls can trade D Rose, Chicago's son, MVP, youngest MVP in NBA league history, then anybody on the Bulls team can get traded. I didn't like it, but what could I do about it? I definitely wish Zach the best in Sacramento and anywhere else he goes. You made a comment, though, that you were surprised that more people didn't leave a voicemail after the trade deadline. That's because they were upset. Here we go with the same old thing again. The past few seasons at the trade deadline, nothing. Now, this time they did a little something, but not what people were expecting. But did we really expect more anyway? As far as AK reading the script, that didn't bother me so much because we've seen it before last year, and I think the year before that. So it's not that he was reading. I don't know if it's the language barrier, if he's nervous, make sure he don't forget something, but it's not how he said it, it's what he said. The people that keep up with this team every day, that's what had people heated. And I do agree with you about how could he even fix his lips to utter the words play in or play off? Neither one of those words should be in his vocabulary, not for this season. And finally, from your many platforms that I watch and listen to, and even other shows, the comments or the chat, since we have so many guards and we picked up another guard in this trade for Zach, most people, at least 9 out of 10 from what I'm seeing, they say they would pick Io to stay on the team over Coby if it came down to it. Maybe 1 out of 10 for Coby, if that. But again, too many guards, which we've had the past few seasons anyway. And just like myself, we all say, oh, I'm done with this team. I won't watch. I won't do this. Won't do that. But what do we do that next game, including me? The same thing. It's just a shame that the ownership, the management, and the team play many times. They don't support us like we support them. As you would say, go Bulls, see red if you can. Peace. And thank you, Brother Hayes, for this platform event.
AK does always read off a script, so you're right. So it's not about it being shocking or not, but it's about it how it adds to the disconnect, right? How it adds to the sense that it's hard to believe somebody when they're reading off a paper like that and they don't seem to believe the words that they're saying. It just seems like they're saying things to because they know they got to address something. And that's what it comes down to, right? Like, fans are always going to be upset about the team. And, the thing that when people are like, oh, I'm done watching, I'm like, you'll be back, right? Like, if you really love this team, you'll be back. And it's unfortunate that we've turned into, rather than something we're watching and saying, oh, we're watching for the development, we're watching for the growth, we're almost watching to see how bad it's going to crash and burn, unfortunately, right? AK has a lot to do to restore the faith of Chicago Bulls fans. I asked the question towards the start of the season, can AK and Eversley really restore their faith, right? And a lot of Bulls fans had questions on that, right? I think that I get it. Winning is the thing that cures all, right? But I think that you have a fan base as well that if you have a team that's fighting, scrapping, and it looks like you're actually building towards something, that they quiet down as well and start supporting it. The problem is that we've gotten worse. This is the third straight year that we're on pace to have a worse record than what we had the year before, right? And that's something that is hard to really buy into. Then on top of that, when you do go out and you do address your fans, which we don't, it's not like we hear AK or we see AK or we hear from him every single game or even once a month, right? We hear him at the beginning of the season, if a trade goes down or a big move's made, and at the trade deadline, and then at the end of the season. And every time when you come across this fan base, you come across as if it gives used car salesman vibes. And those vibes are hard to then believe in a team when you get those type of vibes for the people that's supposed to be leading your franchise. And that's really where this team sits. Let's hope that it can get better. We'll see. Let's get into this next voicemail. This one's it starts off a bit rough, but Reggie does end this one on a really good point. So we'll get into this voicemail from Reggie.
Hey, this is Reginald. I just got done seeing an interview with AK Casey Johnson, and the fact that Casey said that he has a busy trade deadline, maybe I'm just thinking, how dare you? How dare you try to make it sound like there's a whole bunch of building up on his team. And for several years now, he's done nothing at the trade deadline. And his most important signing so far, well, at least in the last 3 years, was Javon Carter, or how he made a trade to get off Daniel Gafford for guys like Corey Brown Jr. and Devontae Green, who was a throw-in, turned out to be the best player. And I'm just looking at him like, not only does he look like he doesn't know how to play an interview, despite being, doing the job or a job similar to this for like 10 years, but the man, he's trying to bank the future of the Chicago Bulls on a draft pick, on a guy who maybe he's going to be a stud, or maybe he's going to be, out of the league, or maybe he'll be a bust. You don't know, because it's that type of, there's plenty of scenarios that can happen. Guy might get hurt. We don't know. With Bulls luck, that's a strict possibility. But he's not pitchy. He's talking about that his definition of a rebuild and everybody else's definition of a rebuild are completely different. And I agree to that point, because like you said, he's going to retool, not rebuild. And he's going to, I guess, hope that his vets, the young vets, can step up. And one of them, the people he hopes to step up is like Patrick Williams. It just, once again, it just proves that you can't have much hope for the future of a Bulls team built by AK. But, I just wanted to vent. Thanks for hearing me out.
First of all, Reggie, you got to make sure you got better connection before you call in, bro. You can't keep calling in on those Obama Wi-Fi phones and not make sure you got good internet connection, my boy. That's a joke. But here's the thing, right? To a degree, every team's banking on a draft pick. I don't get the people who are like, well, are you really going to hand, like, and this isn't to make, because Reggie's bringing a really good point, but it's like, why are we just doing draft picks? Right? I got on Brian Washington not too far about. Every player in this league started off as a draft pick that somebody saw some potential in, that somebody wanted to invest development in, that every single player. I don't care if it's LeBron James. I don't care who else it was. You saw a glimpse in it, and then you invested in it. Now, some of it also is up to the players to really attack it, right? But everybody. So I'm not going to knock a team for hoping or looking at draft picks in the future to bring it. We're not going to be a free agent destination. You got to be something, or at least a destination, or have something on this team to where free agents want to come here. How do you do that? Draft picks. So everything, you have to invest in your draft picks. That's one thing that we have not taken seriously. You have to invest in your scouting so that way you feel very affirmed and confident in the draft selection that you're going to make. Everybody in this league started off as a draft pick. Now, some of those players started off as a low draft pick where people didn't necessarily believe on them, and they, of course, increased it, but you got to come in through the draft. So betting on the future of a draft pick, that's not insane. Every franchise does that to a degree. Once you get those guys, though, and you see that you have a guy that you can build around, what you do after that is special as well, right? So I think that's the thing that you got to look at, and we'll see what the Bulls team does in the future. All right, let's get into the last voicemail, man. This one's from Shay.
What's up, hey, this is Shay. Look, man, I know this may sound weird, but don't be surprised if I think the front office know that they probably aren't going to retain Josh Giddey, or they probably know that, hey, he's going to be asking for much more, and teams are probably going to be looking for him to add to their roster, especially a team like maybe, I don't know, Phoenix Suns, who need a point guard, or maybe, just maybe, a team like the Orlando Magic, or teams in general. I could be missing some that actually are looking for a point guard. Look, I know that people are going to be like, oh, the Bulls can re-sign Josh Giddey, but think about it. They said they see Trey Jones here in the long-term future. Now, I know what people are going to say. Oh, just because Javon Carter has one more year left on his deal, but I believe, this is my opinion, that they know for a fact that they're not going to be retaining Josh Giddey, or they know that there's a potential that he could leave after this season, because let's face it, Trey Jones would not even be on the team right now. And I don't just buy that because Javon Carter's contract is coming up. I just think that the Bulls know that they're not going to be able to, that just in case if Josh Giddey might go somewhere else, they may look to, either sign and trade, or there's a good potential chance that he could go to another team. That's just my opinion. Anyway, tell me what you think. Peace.
Shay, Trey Jones, Josh Giddey, come on, bro. I know you didn't just make that and say that Trey Jones is Josh Giddey insurance. Come on, bro. You really can't believe that. Here's the thing, and I've said this before. Lonzo Ball's extension has nothing to do with Josh Giddey. Trey Jones has nothing to do with Josh Giddey. Now, I do think that Trey Jones was brought in, and even hearing, hey, the Bulls have some hope of keeping him past his contract expiring. All right, cool. But it really still comes down to a simple thing, like it's talent. And this is the fact that this team loves guards, but it has nothing to do with Josh Giddey, right? Josh Giddey is a much better player than Trey Jones. Now, Trey Jones has some things that he does better. He's a better defender, that even at his small stature, than Josh Giddey. But it does not act like Josh Giddey's like Trey Jones is even on the level of Josh Giddey. He's not. Even though Trey Jones is great at assist to turnover ratio, he's a really good facilitator. He's still not the facilitator that Josh Giddey is. So I don't think it has anything to do with each other. But I mean, to say that, all right, well, we'll see what happens with Josh Giddey. Like, nothing's for certain for Josh Giddey in this offseason, right? I think everybody realizes that. I still think that it's more safe to bet on Josh Giddey returning for the Chicago Bulls. And of course, we're going to hear from everybody, the think pieces, the upsetness, everything about that'll come with it. We'll talk about that, but I still think it's a really good and high chance that Josh Giddey is back in the Chicago Bulls uniform next season. We'll see what happens. But thank you, everybody, for leaving the voicemails. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.